Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope your Monday morning was green as well. We are back with another trading recap video. This morning, I took 4 trades, 3 of which were green, and 1 was red, on which I had to stop out on. This morning, I practiced the 1-minute opening range breakout trade, which I don't really have a lot of expertise with, so that's why I want to keep practicing. As always, if you enjoy this content, please feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and go ahead and give me that thumbs up. I do appreciate everyone that has subscribed so far. I really appreciate the support, and I really hope that I can continue to give you guys useful information and also some entertaining videos as well. So let's go ahead and jump over to the charts and check out those trades. All right, here we are on LCID, LCID, one of those stocks that are in the EV sector. So this stock was the one that I took the 2 VWAP traversal trades on, and one was green and the other one was red. I want to give you guys an idea of how I took my partials out on the green trade and why I stopped out on the red trade. Now, if you guys have watched any of my videos, you probably know where my stop loss is, and that was exactly where I stopped out this morning. But I want to give you a better idea of the other levels that I used as well. Okay guys, here we are on the 1-minute chart, and honestly this trade just makes me smile. Not because it was a good trade, not because of the green or the red, but because I love trading this setup. It's my favorite setup, and when I see a stock give me the opportunity for the trade, I have to take it. Even if I'm trading in with 1 penny, I have to trade this setup. And it is the VWAP traversal right before 9:35. So normally you can trade a 5-minute candle breakout or breakdown right alongside of this pattern, because you're going to get a new candle, as we'll see on the 5-minute chart, which is here, and it's going to coincide right with when I took my short. So here is my entry, and as you can see, we'll go ahead and take a look what happened the first 4 minutes. LCID opened up and we had a little bit of indecision, and then we had it run up past this 22.10 level. This level was marked, and I'll show you why I marked that level. That was actually something that I didn't set until we had this candle right here and we had these 2 candles right here. It's actually a little low right now. Where I actually had this, let me move it back up to where it was. This candle was actually right here. So this was, I didn't draw this line until these 2 candles which you're seeing the top right now. So it's around 22.12, 22.10. So right now, let's get back to that first trade. My first trade was, obviously, as you can see, it is this short right at this level. So as soon as it crossed the VWAP on the way back down, and it also crossed, as you can see, look at these levels. We had the S4 Camarilla pivot, we had the 9, and we had the VWAP all in this area right here. And we had also had a really descending, well, excuse me, that was the 20. This is the 9 that was descending. It basically broke through all of those levels right at the same time. As soon as I saw that, I went ahead and smashed that short button. Had all the confidence in the world, and again, we lost, as you can see, right here, $22. That was so many stars aligned in the universe to take this trade. The loss of a whole dollar, the loss of VWAP, the loss of the 20 EMA, and the loss of S4 right at 9:34. So I took the short here, and as you can see, first partial was right above the 50 EMA, and then once I had, again, you know, my stops are normally around 10 cents. So once I had around a 30-cent profit, I went ahead and took another partial here, and then I took another partial right here. I think these were both quarters. Let me go ahead and say this. I'll preface my exit. As you can see also, I broke even here. I let it go back up, and I stopped out right at break even, right as it moved back over the VWAP. The reasoning behind me taking these is really because of the stock. It was LCID. I did not expect this stock to continue down, and as you can see, it did not continue down. This stock is still going through the roof. I can't even see the last sale price on my chart because it's so high. You can look at it right here on the 5-minute chart. This thing is going to the moon. You could have taken any one of these trades over here on the 5-minute today on Lucid and still be in the trade right now. So that is why I went ahead and took my profits. It was one of my favorite setups, so that's why, you know, I'm going to take that short. Even if it would have bounced off of this 200 or the 50 and went right back up over the VWAP, I still would have been happy with the trade, even if I wouldn't have got these, because it was just a perfect setup. So that was the VWAP traversal first trade, which I was actually decently profitable on. Now, let me show you the second trade, which you can obviously see on my chart, and I had to stop out. So here is my second entry, and again, you can see this was as it moved past the VWAP, and I was actually green, and it bounced right off the 200 and then went back north. What convinced me to jump back in this trade was not only the VWAP loss and the S4 loss, but also what I was seeing on the level 2 price action. It looked like a lot more bids were starting to stack up. So, you know, at this level, I don't feel too bad if I get stopped out because it's a confident trade. I already had a profitable winner on this trade, or excuse me, on this stock. So even though I took a loss with this stop loss, I was still in the green on this stock. My stop loss was right around this level, which I set for the top of these two candles. That was going to be my stop loss. My entry was going to be the VWAP, and as you can see, it bounced right off of S4 and then it moved higher. And as soon as it hit 212, 210, I was out of the trade like that. There was no second guessing. I didn't let it bounce around. I hit the button and I covered immediately. Like I said, I did take a small loss on that. It did take my profits back from this trade, but not all. So I did end up green on Lucid on the morning. Not a big trade, but again, here's the big thing to take away, and I want to leave you with this on Lucid. Even if you don't win every trade, if you see a setup and you trade it and you get stopped out, if all the parameters for the trade are there and you still get stopped out, it's not a bad trade. Going red does not make it a bad trade. It just means that that percentage that you're trying to get in there with that 65-70% chance, you just didn't hit it this time. Now, if I would have just jumped in and didn't look at any levels and said, screw it, I'm just going to go in on this trade, and then it went red, then yes, it's a bad trade. And even if it would have went green, it would have been a bad trade. But because I've traded this pattern so many times, I already knew it was a good trade just because of my entry. And like I said previously, if it would have bounced off this level and immediately went back up and I would have gotten stopped out, I would have considered that a good trade. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one. We're going to jump over to the other two trades that I took today. One was a practice on an 1-minute breakout, so I took the trade right before the 1 minute closed and then partialed back in. It was basically a 2-entry trade. So I took half once and then the other half as soon as the second candle opened, and that was a good trade. We'll jump over that one right now. All right, guys, here we are at EDSA. Had a lot of momentum and I had a big catalyst this morning. As you can see from the 5-minute chart, from 8 o'clock when that volume came in, let's see, it was around $6. It had already ran up $2.50 in 5 minutes. So that was a really big run up, and then you can see it basically formed an ABCD on the 5-minute chart, and this is all pre-market volume. And then obviously we had a pullback. That is the reason that I had this line here marked for even going into the regular time. I went ahead and threw this line up here as a level. That was what I was looking for this stock to rip through at the very beginning. It did move through, but unfortunately it didn't hold that level, and you know I got stopped out at break even, but I was able to make some profits on this. As you can see here, my fill on the 1 minute was nowhere near where I wanted it to be. Where this candle closed was right here, And that's exactly, it was like 2 seconds before this candle closed. I saw the volume starting to come in, so I hit the buy, and it filled me right here. Thankfully, this was a 2 entry trade, because I wanted the second candle to basically be my confirmation. If it was going to dump, then I was going to go ahead and sell out and go ahead and take my loss. And you can see this was about 950 and my fill was around 965. The good thing is when this second candle opened, it opened right here. As you can see, is right where my entry filled. And that entry was right above the previous candle's close. So it closed here, and I took my second entry right at the top, right as soon as that second candle opened green. The momentum here, it's a huge red candle, but that candle was green for the first 10 seconds of this trade. And when I was fully into this trade here, as you can see, this son of a gun ripped up past the level that I was wanting. And once it went up and it hit $10, it got right around the $10 mark. Everybody just got rid of their stocks. It was a huge ceiling. Everything started flushing. I traded really fast on this because I was holding a lot of shares. It was a smaller priced stock, so whenever I'm trading something around under $10, I'm going in with fairly large size of shares. And also I knew that I was going to be going out really quick because I was practicing one setup and one setup along, and that was the opening range breakout that I'm training or trying to learn right now. Normally you would only take an entry here, but like I said, I took this entry and it was literally about 3 seconds before this candle closed, and it went up, and when it turned green, that's when I decided, okay, let me hit the buy. This one opened green. I took my second entry, took my full position, and then it ran up. As soon as it hit this top level, I started taking my money out. And it moved back down, hit this top, took my last position before hitting the break even. So I already had my break even order in, and as you can see, I did break even. Thank God I hit the break even and I didn't try to eye this, because as you can see, right after I took this profit, this son of a gun went to the basement. Now this stock did have shorts available. I didn't see if they were available once it lost this level right here. So this may have been a perfect opportunity for a 1 minute opening range breakdown where it lost this level, and you could have took a short entry here, and obviously that would have been a much better trade. Could have either taken the VWAP traversal on this stock as well. Normally I like VWAP traversals for a little bit higher priced stock because of the movement. It's a little bit more manageable, and plus my stop losses are a little bit easier to keep an eye on. Here, a 10-cent stop loss would have been like that large, and the speed at which this stock was moving, the stop loss would have just had to happen like that. So, you know, again, I was just practicing one strategy on this. I was profitable. I did get a little bit of experience out of it. Last week, I tried the same setup, but to the short side, and I didn't take my profits fast enough. It actually made the same kind of movement, but it was to the short side. It hit my target the same way this one did hit my target, but I hesitated. I said, okay, maybe it's going to continue to run up. Instead, this time I learned from my mistake, and I said, no, I'm not going to let it take my profits back. I took all these bad boys. I was already in the green, and then I set my break even really fast. And if it would have continued higher, that would have been awesome. I could have added back at this level. If it would have went back green and then kept going higher, I could have even added to the position even up higher once it went through 10. But, you know, this was one of those, I had to be really quick on the trigger. It could have easily hit my max stop loss for the day in this one trade if I wouldn't have taken it fast. So, you know, thankfully that was good practice on that one. And again, I have one more trade that I want to show you guys, and then we'll end this video. Hey guys, here we are on Palantir, my last trade of the day, PLTR, one of the apes' favorites, and it's one of my favorites as well to day trade. Not intraday, or I shouldn't say intraday, but overnight swing trade. I have tried to swing trade it before and took a L just because this guy can move a lot. So it has a lot of movement during the day, so it's a really good to day trade if you know the levels. So let me jump in and show you my second favorite pattern. You've seen it in other videos before, and I'm going to show you exactly what I look for before the entry and where I took my exits. Okay, the top two things that I'm looking for to take this trade, which is the failure of continuation or reversal from, again, I don't like saying a hive day, because a lot of times this trade can be taken when it's not going for a hive day, when it's just getting exhausted basically. So I'm just going to call it a simple reversal. Here you can see we had a huge sell-off on the 5-minute, and then we had the bounce off of this level, and look at the momentum that came in. The bulls came in and just pushed Palantir straight up within 5 minutes. This was 1, 2, 3, a rip through all these levels like it didn't even see these lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 green candles. This is the reversal we're looking for, and this pattern right here is exactly what I'm looking for before I take my entry on the next candle. I want to see either one, a green candle that finishes with a really thin doji, meaning the top wick is really long, the bottom wick is really long, and then we have just a little bit of indecision. Green is okay on that one. The candle, volume candle, doesn't really show any relevance to me at this point. If it's red, I prefer for, it could be anywhere in this range. Once it's done that, I prefer for it to be a doji. That way I can have a clearer entry. If this is a really big red candle and it's basically a shooting star upside down, it's a little bit tougher to get an entry, because then you can have a bounce on this candle before it moves back down. I really prefer this perfect pattern here because it gives me a clear entry, and also it gives me a little bit more confirmation that there was a lot of indecision previously. Now, the second thing I'm looking for is entry level. I am a fan, as you know, of 75 cents, 50 cents, and 25 cents. This stock made this entire move, bounced around a little bit, but you can see the levels it bounced around in between was right around 62 to 78. I let it move back up, and I took my entry right here, which was right around 66 to 65, which gives me my automatic stop loss of 75 cents. And that would have coincided with right around the top of this candle. Once I have that 10 cents, it doesn't matter what happens, that's my stop loss, especially since I'm already green on the day and I'm not trying to give back a lot of profits. So it's automatically set in there as soon as the entry is taken. The stop loss is automatically entered into my brain, and then we just let it go from there. We start seeing the wonderful red candles that we love on this pattern. They formed perfectly for us. Low volume. Very small red candles, which are fine because everybody just doesn't know when to get back in. The bulls don't know when to start pushing this back up. And what we're looking for, best case scenario, is at least a push back down to VWAP. Why? Because the bulls say, okay, if this goes to VWAP, that's going to be my entry to start pushing this thing back north. And that's exactly what happened. I partialed out at key levels here, which was around S5, as you can see on the 5-minute. I partialed out once it lost the 9 EMA. And then once it got down to between, let's see, yeah, that was around S6, support 6 on the Camarillo, and VWAP. That's where I went ahead and said, okay, I'm taking all my profits out. They're going to use this to bounce, and that's exactly what happened. The bulls said, okay, we let the bears run, and then the bulls took a reversal off of VWAP here, and I'm sure they re-entered here to their position and then let it rip back up. Once it crossed the 20 and the 9, as you can see, it didn't even close below the 9 EMA for a good 10 minutes. I mean, this thing just went in. We look over here on the 5-minute chart. This would have been a beautiful dip buy down here off of the VWAP. Unfortunately, my trade limit is right around 10 o'clock, so I have a very limited amount of time that I can trade. So it's normally, it's from the bell till 10 o'clock is when I trade every day. This is one of the patterns that I always look for because it normally happens once the trees shake out and, the bulls and the bears are starting to get exhausted. So, hope you guys really enjoyed this. I I really enjoyed going over these trades and showing you exactly what I'm looking for, and I hope they can be helpful and educational. Thanks you guys, as always, for coming by. I want to continue to put out these videos, and I really appreciate your support. Until next time.